Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesday. I am coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me. If you can both see me and hear me, just give me a little bit of clapping in the comments. So if I see some clapping, then I'll know. I can already tell I'm a little bit bright, so let me just turn my ISO down. Yes, I am using a separate camera. This is not a webcam. So yeah, if you can hear me, if you can see me, let me know. As always, I am super grateful and lucky to be here with you today. Our topic today is how to increase the production value in your videos. And I do have a lot of fun little things that I want to show you. So it looks like we have some people here. We have mostly film productions from Cornwall, UK. We have somebody from Sausalito, from Montreal, Canada. I'm so glad that you all could join me today. This is so good. Looks like everyone has good audio and video. Awesome. I'm so glad. So welcome to Tips and Tricks Tuesdays. What I want to let you know is that you can always see all of the notes for the class that I'm about to teach you over at bit.ly/Tips Tuesday. So if you go there, you can get the full manual that I've written out for you for everything that I'm about to teach you. So that is a great place where you can get a lot of the best information that I have to show. Looks like, yeah, there's a lot of people clapping in the chat room, so that means that y'all are ready to go. But before I go ahead and teach my lesson, I want to introduce a friend of mine who is a YouTuber, a content creator. A lot like me, he helps people make their content better by sharing his experiences and experiences from other people he comes across. So everybody go ahead and give it up for Tyler Babin. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, so for people who don't know what you do, I gave a little bit of an intro, but maybe you could enlighten them a little bit more about what's been going on in your life for the past couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm coming at you from the other side of the country in New York City, where I am a photographer and a filmmaker, but over the last couple of years have really gone all into the YouTube world. And so I grew up in a really small town in Florida, was always taking pictures, making videos with my friends. And then when I was about 20 years old, I made kind of a crazy decision that I was going to drop out of college and move to New York and pursue this creative thing. And so that ended up landing me with a job with Gary Vaynerchuk, who has a big advertising agency in New York. And I was sort of an acting videographer and creative director for Gary for about 3 years. Traveled all over the world, made hundreds of YouTube videos, and we built a channel from about 30,000 subscribers up to about 4 million whenever I left. So that was pretty exciting. And then I left for this really awesome opportunity with Adobe, where I took on a role as an Adobe creative resident, and Adobe gave me a year to pursue my own creative passions. And so I spent the next year going all in on my own YouTube stuff. And that's where you find me now. I'm no longer a creative resident, but I am a full-time YouTuber and content creator.
I love that because it gave you a chance to, still be able to practice things, be able to have a way to somewhat stress-free, like the money was taken care of, so you could focus on the creativity, which I feel like a lot of people may not get that opportunity, especially if they're coming off of a job and going into freelancing. I know certainly when I was going into freelancing, it was like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's weird how like the starving artist mentality it's a lot more like sexy in theory than actually in practice. So figuring out a way to be able to like pursue those creative things and put food on the table is important. And that's like, the residency only opens up once a year, but anyone watching Adobe, announce the community fund, which is $1 million fund. And so they're going to be distributing money throughout the year for different creative projects if people want to explore that.
yeah, That's a huge plug. If you are interested in the Adobe Creative Residency, go ahead and check it out. Just Google Adobe Creative Residency. They're giving away so much money to creatives right now. But I want to talk a little bit about your content now as an independent creator. I know that you have a very specific style that you like to go for. Like, how would you describe not necessarily the content you make, but the style that you put on top of your content, because that is something that I feel like like gives you a little bit of an edge, brings a little more to the table
Yeah.
when you decide to make a video.
Yeah, I think the style that's kind of landed is having a certain type of music, a certain type of color grading. The graphics that go into the videos all have kind of a specific look and feel. For me, it's a lot of like, I'm from New York, so it's very like urban inspired. I try to keep everything very like almost like the cleanest version of New York you can imagine. So I like everything to be very minimalist, but to be very clean and industrial and things like that. All the music is always very lo-fi hip hop inspired, and then I have a pretty specific look and feel I go for in terms of color, which is like something I try to like invest a lot of time in. I do a lot of like desaturated, monochromatic type of looks, and those all have kind of built into this brand so that people kind of know what they're expecting whenever they go to click onto a video or see something that I've produced.
I think part of having a very solid brand and a solid look is, how do you take other assets and integrate that into your look or into your brand? For example, I know I'm not a YouTuber, but I certainly have worked for a lot of YouTubers, and I've certainly made content of my own, and it's impossible to, especially if you're traveling, like get the drone shot and then get the B-roll and get all of this stuff, especially if you're trying to fit it into your brand. So what is your kind of philosophy around using other people's footage, grabbing stock footage, grabbing stock assets?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that's so awesome about all the tools that we have access to now is we can use different stock assets, and they're not only just like great assets on their own, but they almost act as like ingredients that we can create something completely new out of. And so I know you are very similar. You do a lot of like very guerrilla documentary type film work, where I have a documentary series called 24 Hours With, where I spend, it's like a day in the life of different creatives. And that is often just me by myself. I'm running around some sort of major city trying to like capture the most authentic version of someone's day that I can. And that doesn't really allow for a lot of flexibility in terms of, oh, I really wish I could go get this B-roll shot of this intersection, or I need this establishing shot of whatever city we're in. And so I always, especially in the last couple of years, have really, really leaned heavy into using stock assets, just because the libraries have become so immersive and such a high quality that I can then take those assets, that drone shot, that B-roll, and use that more as an ingredient. I can add my own graphics and color and all of those to go on top of it. And to the naked eye, you would never notice that like I actually had to pull this from a different library. I had to get that drone shot from Adobe stock and then make sure that it melds well into the final piece. And so I think looking at these assets more as like ingredients and part of the formula that you can put into your own look and feel will take maybe a little bit of the taboo away from using stock or pulling from other footage libraries.
I tend to do this a lot, not with establishing shots, but with like footage that is meant to look archival or footage that is meant to look old. So I'll put I'll make it black and white. I'll add grain, especially if you're putting a lot of those together, like in a montage, and they're pulled. Usually on stock, you have, a lot of different contributors, and they might have different cameras. It might be different colors. So I kind of even it out that way. But I also do this with music. So talk to me a little bit about how you kind of, first of all, how do you even find music? Like, what are you looking for in terms of the music that fits your style? And then how do you make that fit your video specifically?
Yeah, music is such a double-edged sword. There's the meme of like the amount of time post-production takes, and it's like 90% of the time is really just spent searching for the right music. And even though that is like a pain point for so many creators, it's also never been better in the sense that there's tons of different brands and different companies that are licensing out music now. So you have a bigger library to pull from than we've ever had, or any filmmaker has ever really had than in this moment. And just like I mentioned before, like I tend to go for a very like lo-fi hip hop inspired songs and stuff like that. That's what is normally the bed that gets put underneath my videos. And so I have my certain resources that I go to. But again, using these more as like ingredients, you know, you can take songs and really, really start manipulating them, cutting them, using some incredible plugins built into Audition to remix those songs and make them fit the duration you need. And so even though I'm always looking for that lo-fi hip hop inspiration, being able to take those tracks and really, really manipulate them is what I think especially makes this time period so special.
And I also noticed that you use graphics as well. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that graphic templates can be so modifiable and can like really, really fit your style. Personally, I really like using overlays because they can be used for lower thirds, for call outs, for titles, for anything else. Like what is your like go-to graphics situation?
Yeah, I think that whenever Adobe integrated the motion graphics templates, it's like one of the biggest impacts into Creative Cloud altogether, because for me as an editor, I want as little friction in my post-production process as possible. But also those little details are the things that really do add production value. And those are the things that may go unseen, but subconsciously really add a lot of production value. And so being able to access motion graphics templates natively inside of Premiere for either like cinematic titles or lower thirds and not have to leave and go to After Effects or something like that has definitely sped up my overall workflow and something that I noticed. But it's also, again, production value. And for me, that saves time. And if I can add production value into a piece that I'm working on without having to leave and go grab different assets, it's just like, that's all good things. And the ability to edit these graphics inside, again, natively inside of Premiere or even, you know, Adobe Rush, we're just saving time, and you're going to immediately start leveling up the editing.
For my last question, it's not really a question, it's from the chat room. Light subscriber says, the favorite way to be creative is taking time to research and plan. And I know you recently put out a video that was all about researching and planning. So if you had to leave our viewers with one piece of advice about that, what would you say?
Yeah, so I did just put out a video because I've come to find that a lot of the critical filmmaking mistakes I have made have all been not due to lack of gear or lack of resources. It's been to my inability to really set up a pre-production plan. And so even if I'm doing something like a vlog, it doesn't have to be like a documentary series, sitting down and not being in front of a screen and actually just letting the piece that you want to create come to life inside your own head, I think is really, really important. And then make a plan of how to actually execute against that, and making sure that you have the shot lists and those little sound bites that you want to achieve, and actually like ticking those off, because I'm sure you feel this too, that you can have the best plan in your head, but as soon as you like pick up the camera and walk outside, that's often going to go out the window and you're going to be focused on what's happening in the moment. And so having a tangible shot list and a tangible plan going into every creative project, I think is what sets production value, tenfold on the upside, because otherwise you naturally forget, and like even though the person with the best memory is going to slip up and forget those little things that you need to accomplish.
I think it's a lot like being an athlete as well. It's one thing to know your craft, but it's another thing to practice over and over until it becomes like a reflex to check certain things.
Yeah.
And sometimes novices may not know to even check for certain things. Sometimes certain cables are known to become disconnected, or certain like a 3.5 millimeter jack for audio, there's a TRS and a TRRS connection, and like you might not even know that. So there's a lot of things that preparedness is one, but I would also say if you can do a test shoot or And I don't mean just in general test shoot. I mean a test shoot in the same conditions, with the same camera, with the same mic you're planning to use at the same time of day.
Yep.
Try to replicate it as much as possible. That's just setting yourself up for success down the line.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned practice and comparative to sports, because I think that especially in the filmmaking camera world, practice just isn't thought of as a thing. It's sort of like you just buy the camera and then you're a professional, and that's like the equivalent of like buying a basketball and then going to play in the NBA. Like there's a lot of work that has to get done in those in between phases. I remember when I was a teenager, like right when I had picked up, I did a photo shoot every day for 30 days straight. Like every day was setting up and planning. And then when it reaches that point where like the pressure's actually on, you know how to execute because you've done the free throw 100 times to get it to the right place.
Yeah, there's doing the free throw, but I think there's also a lot of value in watching a lot of free throws and in educating yourself, which is exactly what the people on this stream are doing, and it's exactly what I'm about to get to right now. So I'm going to give you a bunch of education so that you can set yourself up for success. But before I go do that, I just want to say a big thank you to Tyler for joining me today. If people want to watch your content, which I highly recommend they do, where can they go? What should they look at? Where should they start?
Yeah, YouTube and Instagram are definitely my platforms of choice, and I usually go by my last name on the internet the most. So if you just search Babin, which is Babin, I'm sure you'll pick up some stuff. Like I mentioned, I have a series called 24 Hours With, which is sort of like the culmination of the visual content that I really, really love to make. And so diving in on that series, I think is a good place to get familiar with who I am and what I do.
And it is a fantastic series. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
I know you gotta go, you gotta film a video, and I gotta
I
do
do.
tutorials. So
I'll talk to you later. Bye.
bye, Tyler. Bye. All right, so that was our little chat with Tyler. I hope you found it interesting. And now we are about to switch over and do our tutorial, but I just want to remind you, oh, now it's too dark. Great, gotta turn that ISO up a little. There, I think that's better. I just want to remind you that this entire lesson can be found over at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. And if you enter your information over there, you can also get a chance to win a full year of Creative Cloud. In fact, last week's winner is Danny Sanchez from Super Duper Danny on YouTube. So congratulations, Danny, for winning a full year of Creative Cloud. That's awesome. So if you'd like to win, go ahead and go right here, adobe.ly/tipstuesday, and that'll give you a chance for not only Creative Cloud, but also for the manual for this tutorial. So let's just go right into it. Here I have Premiere Pro open, and what you see here is a YouTube video that, let's just say I made. That's a loose term, but yes, I made this. And let's first make sure that my audio hardware is correct so that I can actually hear it when I'm talking. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. So this is kind of what the video looks like. I'll play a little bit of it for you so you can get an idea of what's going on. And yes, I did have a wig. I'm pretending not to be myself here, so. Can you hear that? I feel like that's really quiet for some reason. Let me see if I can increase the volume a little bit. Let's try that. So let me know if you can hear that. I still feel like it's very quiet, but maybe that's just me. Okay, people are saying there's no audio. Very weird. Let me just do this once more. Just double check that everything is correct here. And let me try that. No, still quite weird. Not sure why. Let's try that. That's okay. So if you can't hear it, that's fine because we're not here to talk about audio. We're here to talk about graphics. So the first thing that I want to talk about is right here. I have a little bit of an intro where I just say, hey, I'm about to do this YouTube video talking about this egg cooker. And then over here, I'm already talking about it, right? So I want to insert kind of an intro segment right between these two clips. But I also want to make sure that maybe if I, no, this can't be it, right? This won't work. Nope, that won't work either. So I want to insert some kind of clip here. But the thing is, this is a brand new channel, right? I'm a brand new YouTuber and I don't have any footage to insert into this. So I would love to make a cooking channel, but I don't have any footage of me cooking. So what do? Well, how about I make footage of me cooking? Or how about I find it? Even better. So let me go over to my libraries, which is found right here, libraries. It's kind of in this extra little tab that you can see right there. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go into libraries, and here it says search libraries and Adobe stock. So I'm going to type in woman cooking. And guess what? It's going to show me, I'm going to go to Adobe stock. So select that, and it's going to show me all of the stock clips of a woman cooking. Why did I type woman? Because if there's any hands in the shot, I want the hands to be female hands. So let me actually make this a little bit bigger so that you can see it on screen. So if I kind of hover my mouse back and forth over the video, I will be able to see what the video is of. Also, down here, I can also see how long the video is and whether or not the video is in HD 4K or whether it's offered in both HD and 4K. So I kind of like this one where it's baking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the plus icon right here. And that is going to add it to my library, which is right over here. And maybe I'll just go for general cooking. I'll look up just cooking, see what else is available for me. So I'm just going to keep, I'm going to keep adding things because when I add it to my library, I can then bring it into my project and create some sort of project with it. So let's see. I like this kind of choppy vegetable vibe. So let me add that to my library. And yeah, I like that. Let me actually go to my library. Yeah. Let me see some more. Maybe. So yeah, I've never actually cooked or I've never recorded myself cooking, but I have some options here. Preparing meal, maybe that could yield some other results. So all I'm doing is searching for keywords. I like this one too, so I'm going to add that. I'm going to add that to my library. This one is in both 4K and HD, so it's going to say, do you want to save the 4K or HD version? And I'll say 4K, please. So I have all of these clips added to my library here now. And now I can actually drag them into my timeline if I want, and create things with them. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back to my cooking demo and I'll go down here to new item. And I will create a new sequence just for the intro because this is a subsequence that I'm going to be using over and over and over again for every single video, right? So I'm going to go to sequence and I'm going to make sure that the settings say 1920 by 1080. My time base is 23.976 because that's how I filmed and that's what I want. Stock clips can be at any frame rate, but I want to make sure that my sequence is at the correct frame rate. And I'm going to call this cooking intro. that is going to be my intro always, right? I'm going to click OK. So now I have this cooking intro. I'll go back to my libraries and I'll choose, let me choose this one, right? I want this kind of like healthy food meal thing. So I'll right click and I'll say add to project. And this is going to add this clip to my project in Premiere. So I'll just say add to project. And right down here, it has added it right there. Healthy food, healthy breakfast. So now I can go ahead and drag it in. And it's going to say this clip does not match the sequence settings. Correct. Because remember, I set my sequence as 23976. However, this is 25 frames per second. This tells me it was probably filmed in Europe somewhere where their standard time base is 25. That's fine though. It's close enough. So I'm just going to say keep existing settings. I'm going to say okay. And now it has added it here to my timeline. But it's a little bit zoomed in, as you can see, because it was a 4K clip. So what I can do is I can go over here to Effect Controls, over to Scale, and I can zoom it out. So I can write 50. And now it is fully zoomed out. Another thing I can do is I can right click and I can go to Scale to Frame Size. And now it is zoomed out. So let's see what this looks like. It's just a clip of some fruits being added. That looks good to me. Maybe I will, manipulate it a little bit. Like Tyler was saying, you want to, change up the clip so that it doesn't look like stock footage. It looks like something that could fit within your brand. And again, if you want all this information, what to click, how to click, what order to click things in, you can always go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday and that'll show you everything. Christine asks, so the license is different from each clip? Yes. So first you bring them in, you see you kind of have this logo on it, this watermark. To get rid of the watermark, you do have to license the clip. And every time you get a new clip, you have to license that clip. But first, you can play around with it to make sure that it fits within whatever you're doing. So let me go to the beginning of it. Actually, let me go to like here in it, right? And I'm going to set a keyframe. I'm going to set a keyframe for the position, for the scale, and for the rotation of it. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to scale it. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. So I'm going to go like 110 or something. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to rotate it slightly. There we go. So it kind of goes like that. Nice. So it has a little bit of a rotation. And then it's actually really long. I don't want it to be that long. So I'm going to press Command K to cut it right there. And then I'm going to kind of just change the speed of the end here by going to R, and that changes my mouse to the rate stretch tool. And then I'm just going to rate stretch it a little bit. And a little cheat that I like doing, which is probably not the best way to do this, but whatever. I'll go into the beginning of it and I'll go one frame in and I'll press Command K again to just cut that frame out. Then I'll go back to the back and I'll cut one frame out again just to cut that frame out. And then what I'll do is I'll use the rate stretch tool to make this first frame longer. You can always also right click and go to add frame hold and all that. But instead, what I'm just going to do is, because it's just one frame, I'm going to do the rate stretch tool and I'm going to stretch it out to make it a little bit longer. Then I'm going to just ripple delete by right clicking, ripple delete here. Oh, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'll bring it over here a little bit. And then I'm going to go to the end over here. Going to click on it. Let me zoom in a little bit. Rate stretch that a little bit longer. There we go. So let me rate stretch it. So it's a 5-second intro. Let's take a look at that. So it stays there at first, then it goes in, then it stays there, and then it just stays. Cool. So that'll be my intro. Let's see what it looks like when I put it in. So I'll go back to this view where I have my full project. And I want to select everything that's after this cut right here. This cut right here. So I'm just going to press A on my keyboard, and that'll change my mouse cursor. As you can see, now it's these two arrows pointing to the right. So I'll just select that. Then I'll press V again to change my cursor, move this out of the way. And then I'll go ahead and put in my cooking intro. It'll be like right here. I'll delete the audio from it. So I will want to maybe kind of put it over the end, and then I'll select everything after and kind of bring it like that. So it looks like this. So there's my intro. And then it comes out, right? It's a little bit clunky so far because it has no transitions of any kind. So let me add a transition. Actually, let me move this up and then extend this B-roll clip so it goes straight into the B-roll clip after the intro. So let me go back into this intro, and on this first kind of frozen frame, I'll go into effects. I'll go into video transitions, maybe iris round. Let's do that. Let's put that in so it looks like this. Yes. And then let's take this iris round and put it at the end as well. Let's do the full. There we go. No, let's make it a little shorter. Yeah, that looks good. So now if I flip on back to my working sequence, it'll look like this. That looks good now. So now that I've got that going for me, I can maybe add some more things. But first, let's just say, okay, I have completely agreed that this is the clip that I want to use. This is that clip that I want to license. I want to get rid of the logo. So I'm going to go back to the clip. I'm going to right click on it and go to Reveal in Project. So I can find it again in my project. It's just going to highlight it here. And then do you see this little shopping cart logo right next to the name of it? Well, I have a lot of shopping cart logos. So I'm just going to click on that shopping cart logo. And it's going to bring up this box from Adobe Stock. It says, first of all, which version do you want to license? Do you want to license the HD version or the 4K version? Since I did that little zooming in, I definitely need the 4K version. So I'm going to select 4K, and then I'm going to select next. And then it's going to say, do you want to purchase this for this amount of money, right? It was a little bit higher than the HD version. So if I want to get the HD version instead of the 4K version, I can say HD, next, and it's going to say, do you want to purchase this for this amount of money? So let's just pretend I purchased it. I'm not actually going to purchase it, but if I did purchase it, it would get rid of the logo on the screen. So now, again, if you want to know everything about how to do this, you can go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday. You can also enter for a chance to win the full Adobe suite for a full year. So that's really exciting. So now that I have this, you know, I need a name for my show and I need some graphics for my show. So let's do that. So let me go into Window and then Essential Graphics, pull that up. And I know it's kind of hidden over here, so I'm going to bring this over here so you can see it a little bit better, and it's a little bit better for your screen. You can see everything that I'm working on. So this is, these are some templates that I have on my computer, but if I want to look at Adobe Stock templates, there's thousands of templates available. Whoop. Right here in this tab that says Adobe Stock. So I'll go ahead and click on the Adobe Stock tab. And what's cool is you can search for different things right here in the search bar, and you can also search for free or premium templates. So if I go ahead and type overlay, which both Tyler and I like to use overlays, it'll show you all sorts of different overlay options. And if it has a little $sign next to it, that means that this is a premium template that you can buy for $20, which is a steal, honestly. But if you just want to look for free templates, you can select, oh my gosh, my mouse, sorry. The zoom tool likes to not work because it's a hack for PCs. Okay, here we go. So if you go to the free button, you can click on that, and then that'll show you only the free title templates. So you can go ahead and like look through them, see if you like any of them. This one's kind of cool. So maybe, I mean, it's a little much, but it's pretty cool. But let's just do one that I already brought in. So I'll go to my templates and I'll find something that I think works really well for this circular kind of vibe. Let's do this one. This is the passport stamp travel animation. So I'll go ahead and bring that in and play that and see what that looks like. It's playing a little bit slow, but that's okay. That looks cute. All right. So now I can go in and I can modify this. So if I go over to the Edit tab under Essential Graphics, because we were in the Browse tab, so we were browsing for templates. Now I can go into the Edit tab and I can click on that graphic and I can start changing it. So I'm going to write in Valentina Vee's, and then what do I want to call this? Gadget Tuesday. We'll do that. Gadget Tuesday. We can even move it around a little bit. So let's move the position of it. Depending on what the template author has decided to give you the options to, you can change this quite a bit. Let's do the bottom text. Let's do episode 1. That's going to be our text. Episode 1. You can change quite a bit. In this case, the author allows me to change the color of the background and the opacity of the background. So I'm going to actually change the background color to like a purple because that's my brand color, right? I'm going to change the opacity, make it a little bit darker. There we go. Valentina Vee's Gadget Tuesday. And then the roughness of the edges here, I don't really love how rough they are. So I'm going to smooth them out completely. So rough edges border over here, I'm going to make them very smooth. Yeah, perfect circle. That looks good. Let me make the stroke width a little bit thicker. That looks good to me. And yeah, so it looks like that right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little dissolve to the front of this animation. So I'll go to my effects and I'll go to, again, video transitions. I'll go to dissolve and then do just a cross dissolve right there. Maybe I'll start it a little later, make the dissolve a little shorter. Then I'll go ahead and where it stops its motion, which is like around here, I'll go ahead and I'll cut this graphic. And I'll go to the very end of the graphic where it starts kind of animating out. There we go. And I'll cut right there and I'll put that together. There we go. And then I'll add another little cross dissolve. So I can actually copy this cross dissolve. So I'll go Command C, Command V. So I've put that cross dissolve at the end there now. Maybe make it a little bit shorter. There we go. And now that I have my full intro, I can go back into my my project and I can see what it looks like. So what I want to do is I want to render just this section so that when it's playing just this section, so that when it's playing back, it's smooth for you all, everyone who's watching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press I. And then I'm going to go to the end of the section. I'm going to press O, which is going to tell the program I'm only really looking at this part of the timeline for now. I'm going to go to Sequence, Render Effects, or Render In to Out over here under Sequence. So it's going to just render my video just from the in to the out point. So just this light gray area. Render into out is going to take a few seconds because I want you to see it played all the way through smoothly as a preview. If you have any questions, by the way, please do leave them in the chat room because I am looking at the chat room. And if you don't have any questions, if you're just hanging out and watching and you're enjoying the content thus far, then give me a thumbs up in the chat room so that I can see that you're alive. So again, if you want to get all of the information for this tutorial, you can always go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday. Roshni asks, what is my RAM? I have 128 gigabytes of RAM on my computer. Thank you for the question. Now let's play this through. There we go. We just created a custom intro. Let me clear the in and out points. We just created a custom intro for our YouTube channel. So it's not just intros that you could do. For example, I am doing an egg cooker video, right? So I'm talking about, okay, how do unboxing an egg cooker and then how do you actually cook eggs? So there was a point in the video where I did a little effect. It was a little, oh, I need eggs for this. So let me pause the video and then get some eggs and then start the video again. So it looks like this. When I say first we need some eggs and then bam, I have eggs all of a sudden. Watch this. See that? So I said we need eggs and then the eggs appeared. Let me actually add a little bit more to this effect. So I'll go back to my Essential Graphics panel. I'll go to Browse, and this is a free effect that I grabbed from Adobe Stock, and it's the movement response overlay. So if you go to overlay and you select free, there's the movement response overlay right there. So let me just grab that over here in my templates, and I'll drag it on top of the second portion where the eggs appear. So let's actually drag it over both. So let's see what it looks like by default. That looks pretty cute. It goes from right to left, but I can actually rotate it here under global controls. So let me rotate it so that it kind of goes over the eggs, and then I can kind of just rearrange it. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. There we go. I can turn the glow on and off, but I kind of like the glow. And then I can go ahead and choose the colors, and there's color pickers here, so I can choose the colors literally from my video so that they look like they're meant to be there. Oh, let me actually go into these colors. Hello? Yes. Let me make them way more saturated though. Let's do that. Yes. More saturation. There we go. And then I'll just do like a very light pink for that one. Ta-da! And check it out. In just 3 seconds. Pretty cute, right? Let me show you full screen. So a million little things that you could do with that. Another thing that I did for as far as the graphics go is at the end I put a little title card. So the default title card, if I go to browse, the default title card looks like this. If you drag it in, it'll look like this. So this is, end card, right? So this is at the end of YouTube where you can put your thumbnails. That's the default one. So I went ahead and I changed it up with my brand colors and my brand fonts, and I made it look like this. So from here to here, And now I have a very, very simple, this was also free. So this is a free end card that I used. Looks like people are thumbs upping in the chat. All right, awesome. But did you know, drum roll please, Adobe just launched Adobe Audio stock, which is a really, really cool feature. So I want to show you a couple of really fun, interesting things that you could do with audio here in Adobe Premiere Pro that wasn't a thing that you could do before. So it is actually brand new. So let me go to a different video that I did, and it's okay if we can't hear the audio. I don't know why we can't hear the audio, but it's okay. So I have here a video where I'm making some tuna salad, and I've already put some graphics into it, but it doesn't have audio yet. And it's literally like just very, very simple. It's a hands and pans video where, you know, I'll show you the ingredients, I show you the tools. So with this kind of thing, it's like, I don't need any actual background music. So I can actually use music that has lyrics in it if I want. So that's pretty cool. So why don't I find a track that has lyrics that I like listening to and then put it underneath here? So what I'll go to is I'll go to Window, Essential Sound. And again, I'll pull it up over here so that you can see it a little bit better. And right away, you can see this new, brand new Essential Sound panel where under Browse, you can search for Adobe stock. So you can search keywords, or you can search by mood, you can search by genre, and there's a bunch of filters. Like you can, if you want a high tempo track, you can change the tempo. But for me, what I want is a track with vocals. So I'll go to has vocals, right? And a couple things, I want it to be longer than a minute, or at least a minute long. So I'll take the duration, I'll go, I want it at least a minute long. Genre, I want hip hop. And right now it's giving me 153 results. So I can look through these, or I can narrow it down even more. So I want the tempo to be pretty fast. That's giving me 61 results. That's already pretty good. Let's see if I can narrow it down even more. I want it to be a happy song. And 8 results. That looks good to me. So now what's really cool is, again, you won't be able to hear this, but just trust me that it's going to sound really awesome. I'm going to put my playhead, which is this blue line right here, right? This is the playhead, the blue line. I'm going to put my playhead at the beginning of my video. And then I'm going to go over here to timeline sync, and there's a checkbox. So I'm going to make sure that that is checked. And now whenever I play a new song, it's currently playing along with my video. I haven't even put the track into the project. I'm just auditioning the track. I'm just previewing the track, and it's playing. And I can choose different tracks, and it's going to go back to the beginning every time and preview that track. For me, I really like this track, Hot Mess. I think the track Hot Mess works really good. So all I'm going to do with Hot Mess is I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it into my project directly. And bam, it is now in my project. Ta-da! So now what I can do is I can take this song and I can cut it up, because right now it's a little bit longer than it needs to be. I want the song to be a minute long, and it is over 2 minutes long. So what I want to do is I want to shorten it up a little bit. So right here at the beginning of the song, it has this whole intro, and the intro itself is like 15 seconds long. And it has this beat drop right here. This is the beat drop. You can clearly see it because that is where the actual music starts. And then this is just the intro portion. And I want the beat drop to be happening pretty much like right here, like right where the ingredients portion starts. Like right there. So what I'll do is I will trim this track very precisely for that beat drop to start there, but for it to still start at where it starts at the beginning. So you see how this kind of has these little peaks, it goes up and then it goes up and then it goes up over here again. So I want to line those up in a way that cuts out most of them in the beginning. So I'll go ahead and I'll trim it over here, and I'll bring this second piece of the track over, because again, I want the beat drop to like happen like right there. And let's go in, zoom in a little bit and see what this looks like. So I basically want the peak to line up with this peak, if that makes sense. So I want this peak right here to line up with this peak right here, right? And that way it'll be seamless. So if I kind of just move, okay, that looks almost perfect, but it's not perfect because there's no way it can be. If I press Option and go left and right, you can see that that peak almost lines up, but since this is a frame by frame, it jumps a little bit past the top peak every time. So instead of editing frame by frame, what I'll do is I'll edit with time units. And audio time units are actually a lot more precise than going frame by frame. So I'll just click right up here where I have my time indicator. I'll right click and I'll go to Show Audio Time Units. And now I will be able to move this around, not by, I'll turn the snapping off as well, because now it's snapping to different things on the timeline. So I'll turn the snapping off. So it's absolutely independent of anything on the timeline. So now I'll just use this line as an indicator, and I can precisely line it up. I can even zoom in even farther, and I can be way more precise with it than frame by frame. So there we go. Now I have lined up those peaks. Bam. Now I'll turn the snapping back on. I'll turn Show Audio Time Units back off. And what I can do is I will just move this second half of the track up into the first layer by just holding down Option Alt and then just clicking the up button. So now I've moved it up, and just to smooth out that transition a little bit, I'll go to my effects and I'll go to Audio Transitions, Crossfade, Constant Power, and I'll drop that in. So you can't hear it, but it is a very, very smooth transition now. So let me just go to the version I have here with all of those added. There we go. So now the music has been trimmed. I've added these transitions everywhere, but you can see that my ingredients list, my content, still doesn't start on the beat drop. You can see that the beat drop is right here, but my content starts right here. So now I have to line the beat drop up with where my content starts. But it's not just that. The music has regular beats in it, like dun, 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 dun. All of these beats in the music, what I want to do to up my production value and make this video really just sound more organic is I want to line up the cuts, my actual cuts, these cuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to line them up to the beats. Now I can do that visually, or I can spend forever doing it. But one really fun trick is to use markers to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is, because the music's already locked and everything, I'm just going to lock all the tracks. So I'll go over here to the side and I'll lock the tracks. So now I can't touch anything, but I can add markers. So I'll go back to where the music is starting, and you can't hear the music, but pretend that the music is playing. Actually, it might be good that you can't hear the music because it's probably copyrighted. And then every time the beat drops, I will press the M button on my keyboard. And you'll see around here at the top, those markers will just start appearing as I am pressing M, as the beat is dropping. So I'll play through. I know you can't hear the music, okay? But just pretend. So I'm going to just click the space bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. So you can see now I've just listened to the beat and I added these markers right here, and the markers are actually perfectly on beat. And now, without even looking at what this is, I can go ahead and line up all of these steps to the ingredients with the markers. So I'll just go over here. I'll be like, okay, let me line this up. Let me press A to select everything after, press V to bring it over, select A, V, A, V. And because I have snapping turned on, it's automatically going to snap to the marker. This is a really, really, really easy way to up your production value, because when people hear that something has been lined up to the beat of the music, it's so much easier for them to connect to the content itself. So now that I've lined all of this up, I can watch it and listen to it, and it's gonna just appear right on the beat. So that's pretty awesome. So Fernando says, Audition can shorten the music, I think. That is the last thing I want to show you. So let's go back to our cooking, our video where I did the review of the music, or sorry, review of the egg cooker right here. So I want to add a song to this video, right? But this time I want it to be just a very simple, beautiful instrumental song, nothing crazy. So I'll go back to here, Essential Sound. I'll do no vocals this time. I still want the beat to be pretty high. I want the duration. I want it now longer than 4.5 minutes. So I'll change the duration. I want at least 4.5 minutes. I kind of still want to keep the genre. You know what? Let me change these parameters so that I can, because right now it has 0 results. So let me change the tempo. Let me go through, maybe add hip hop, but also add pop as a genre. There we go. So I already know that I want to use this track brighter. And so I'm just going to drag it in. I'm going to drag it in there. It's a little bit longer than my, as you can see, it's a little bit longer than my video, right? And I can do the same thing that I did here with this cutting, but that takes too long. So why don't I just do that automatically? So I will, and because it has no vocals, this is going to work so well. So instead, I'm just going to click on the track, right click it, and go to Edit in Adobe Audition. Now, don't be scared about going to Adobe Audition if you've never used Audition. I've written out every single one of these steps in the manual that you can download online. So if you don't know how to do any of this, I've literally written it out for you. So, you know, this is like how to use markers to keep the beat, which I just covered. This is how to remix, so the edit and audition, and all of the steps are written down for you. So all you have to do is go to adobe.ly/tipstuesday and you can get all of this information. So I'm going to right click, say edit clip in Adobe Audition. It's going to take a second. And here's that clip in Adobe Audition. It's actually right here, brighter. You can see it. It's right there. But I want to use the remix feature, and the remix feature is only available in multi-track view. And right now I am in waveform view. So I want to go to multi-track view. So I'm going to click multi-track, and it's going to say, you know, you need a new multi-track session. So I'm going to select where I want it. I want it there. I'm going to name the session, you know, brighter for demo. I'm going to say okay. So now it's opened multi-track view. I'm going to go ahead and take that clip. Remember, that clip is right here in our file organization. I'm going to take it, drag it in. Now, when it's in the multi-track view, I can go over here to the properties window, and it has the option for remix, and I'm going to say enable remix. What this is going to do is artificial intelligence, which is called Adobe Sensei, will go ahead and read the track. It will literally go through the track and be like, this is the beat, this is the tempo, these are where we can cut things out, and it will intelligently allow you to make the track shorter or longer and not change the beat or anything. So I'll go back here, and now that the remix has read the track, it says, okay, what is your target duration? Right now it's 5 minutes. What do you want it to be? So I'm going to write in, I want it to be 4 minutes and 30 seconds, please. And then it has a standard deviation of 5 seconds. So I'm like, okay, it could either be 4 minutes, 30 seconds, 4 minutes, 25 seconds, or 4 minutes, 35 seconds, right? I'm going to press enter. And just like that, with no time to waste, it has already trimmed my track. And there, right there, is the cut line. So it's put a cut line in my track. And voila. So now I can just go to File, Export, Multi-Track Mixdown, Entire Session, and I can save that file, and then I can bring it back into Premiere, which I've already done. So you can see it right here. And there is that track. And I've also added some sound effects. But yeah, there we go. And now the track is perfectly trimmed, and it ends where I need it to end, at the end of the end card. Ta-da! All right, so that is it for my tutorial today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to review all of this, the video replay will actually also be available at adobe.ly/tipstuesday. So if you go there, you can get the video replay of what I showed you today. You can get the full mini manual with all of the notes for today, step by step, everything I showed you, where to click, what to do. And you can also be entered for a chance to win a full year of Creative Cloud. If you have any questions, then you can go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I will answer them right now. Looks like we have Fernando here, Erica, Cecily, yeah, so Megan is saying that the tracks can be made shorter or longer. Yes, so when you're in Audition, you can just write a target duration here, right? Or you can literally go up here to this squiggly line right here and literally change the duration of the song. So if I had a video that was 1 minute long, I would go ahead and just drag this to the 1 minute line, and it will analyze it, and it'll place 3 cuts into it, and it'll do pretty much the same exact thing. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. Here, let me redo it. I was on the wrong screen. It's hard to do when you're also the host and you're running the live. So when you are doing your duration here, you can just type in your target duration, or you can go right up here to the track. It has this kind of squiggly indicator at the end here. So if you click on that, hover over that squiggly indicator, it'll turn your mouse into this icon, and then you can just drag the length of the track. Let's say I want it to be 1 minute long, right there, and now it hasn't changed the speed of the track. It's just inserted those cuts into the track. Or you can make it longer. So say you really like this track, but you have a video that's like, I don't know, 10 minutes long or something. You can extend it too. And it'll just add, more of the track in there. It'll just repeat certain sections. So now I've made the same track 10 minutes long, and all it's done is it's repeated sections and it's made it longer. So this is Remix. It's a really, really cool feature that's in Adobe Audition. You don't have to be scared of it. It is super useful. And yes, so I hope that you learned something new. The manual is available right now over at adobe.ly/tips Tuesday. If you go there, you'll be able to see it. Like I said, it is just your guide for this live stream. So you can go there, you can find out everything I did in the order that I did it today. So everything from how to find stock clips to how to add them to your project, how to purchase them, how to modify graphics, how to find your soundtrack, all about audio time units, how to turn them on, how to do the markers to keep your track on the beat, and then also how to do the remix feature in Adobe Audition, and it's all there for you. So hopefully you found this helpful. I just want to say next week is a week off for 4th of July, and then we're coming back the week after with something that has been highly, highly requested. It is the After Effects, beginner After Effects workshop. I know a lot of people have been wanting to get more into After Effects, and it might be scary for people because After Effects is a very powerful program, but I have narrowed down 3 different things that I feel like YouTubers specifically want to learn, and I'm going to teach you those 3 things in like a very fun way, so it's not overwhelming at all. So hopefully you'll come back in 2 weeks for that live stream, same time, same place. For now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something new. Thank you for being here and increasing your skills with Adobe programs. And I'll see you later. Bye, everybody.